In this question, we are asked to graph the quadratic equation y equals negative x squared plus 2x plus 1 by first finding the vertex and then finding the y-intercept. Those will help you graph the quadratic, or at least sketch it. Well, in this case, you might know, or you might not, but I can tell you now, the vertex of any quadratic function in standard form ax squared plus bx plus c is found by saying the vertex is the point h comma k, and to find h you just need to do negative b divided by 2a. That's it. And the b and the a comes straight from your y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So in this case, a is that number in front of the x squared, which in this case is a negative, so it's actually negative 1. A equals negative 1 in our case. And then b is the number in front of the x. So in this case, it's the 2 right there. B equals 2. Let's plug those into our equation here and see what we get. So let's go ahead and plug in. H, remember, is the x value of our vertex. So negative b is negative 2. Divided by 2 times a, in this case it's negative 1. So negative 2 is on top, 2 times negative 1 is on bottom, 2 times negative 1 is just negative 2. So h is actually negative 2 divided by negative 2, or 1. So I found the x-coordinate of my vertex. I'm going to go ahead and replace that with 1 right up here. So for the vertex, I'm going to go ahead and write this as 1, comma, and then I don't know what the k is yet, but I can find that by plugging what I know as the x value back into my actual equation now. So let's go ahead and solve that. Y equals negative x, so negative 1 squared, plus 2 times 1 as my x plus 1. Solve that and you'll have your y value. Okay, let's go. So negative 1 squared. 1 squared comes first. Remember your order of operations. 1 squared is first, so I have a negative 1 plus 2 times 1 is just 2 plus 1 equals negative 1 plus 2 gives me 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So y equals 2, or in this case k equals 2, and that's my vertex, 1, 2. The second thing they ask you to do here is identify the y-intercept. To do so, remember that your y-intercept will always occur when x equals 0. Okay, that's when your y-axis will touch the graph, because that's where the y-axis is, when x equals 0. So I'm going to plug in 0 as my x now. Y equals negative 0 squared plus 2 times 0 plus 1. 0 squared is 0. Negative 0 is still 0, so I get 0 plus 2 times 0 is also 0, plus 1. So my answer is y equals 1. Okay, so my y-intercept is 1, so one of the points on the graph would be right here. I'm going to say y equals 1 is the y-intercept, so right here in red. And then the vertex is 1, comma 2. 1, comma 2. So it's going over to the right one and up 2. So that could be the other point. Last thing to note here is because this is a negative a, right? It's negative x squared. It's a concave down graph. The concavity is down. So the sketch of the graph would actually be something kind of like this, where my graph is pointing downwards if you do it correctly.